Hey guys, how's it going? This is Cyber Saloon. So today we're going to be going over ReZero episode 11. This episode was crazy to say the least. I do apologize. Last week I had said that last week's episode 11, was the penultimate episode. I do apologize for that. This week's episode is the penultimate episode. I thought cores sometimes generally come in sometimes 12 episodes, so this one apparently is going to be 13, which makes a lot of sense based on what we got this episode. So let's get into it. So we pick up where we were left off last time, where Subaru had probably his worst life, arguably, ever since in the entire series. He had to watch Beatrice get slaughtered. He had to watch, hear that Petra and Frederica got killed. It was a bad time for everyone involved, and it was a pretty brutal life. So, and then watch Amelia basically get possessed, and everyone died. It was pretty bad. So he wakes up this time, and Amelia's with him, just as she's been every episode this season. And we see that he's kind of taking the heart what Roswell said to him last episode, where he basically mind broke her by having her repeatedly take the trial and for the purpose of breaking her mind. So we see this that kind of has an effect on Subaru. He wakes her up and ensures her that he's there for her. And you see Subaru go back and he kind of get a meeting, like, okay, he kind of realizes that Roswell is the problem, and then he tries to go back in the temple himself to try to finish the trial for himself, because he doesn't want Amelia to have to go through that stuff ever again, because he's afraid of what Roswell is trying to do with her in the first place, and so he just tries to finish it on his own. So he goes to ask for Echidna's help. So he goes inside the temple, and we probably get one of the most messed up probably sequences in the entire series. We have to watch Subaru see all what happens after after all of his previous deaths. So this is something I've always kind of thought about. I'm sure some of you have too. I've always thought about like seeing like the first couple minutes of like every time Subaru kills himself or dies, like what kind of happens, like what people's reactions are to it. So I really like that it touches on that. And the first one we see is at the beginning of the season when he kills himself with that shard. You see Amelia's just calling him a liar. She's screaming bloody murder. She's really upset. It's actually really depressing. And she says that he lied to her because he said that he loved her and he ended up killing her. It's pretty sad stuff, to be honest with you. And then we see that old man Will and Felix try to heal him, but to no avail. And we see that Felix calls him a coward and a weakling. It's pretty dark, to be honest with you, and it's pretty sad to see, especially Amelia, for as upset as she got. Then we see his next, one of the other times he died, when he got possessed by Beetlejuice after they had killed Beetlejuice, and he possessed Subaru, and after Julius had killed him. We see that Amelia obviously is depressed about it, and we see a really kind of heartfelt thing where Julius was like, I wish we could talk more and I could have been your friend. So I do miss Julius. I wish that him or Reinhardt got more screen time this season. But hey, maybe during the next second half. So after that death, we actually go to a really cool one. We go to probably the one, in my opinion, the most iconic death in the entire series, which is from season 1, where when he's carrying Rem's broken body back to the mansion, and you just see witch cultists and people dead all over the mansion, and you see that Puck has gone into his Beast of the End form, and that Puck kills Subaru in that form, and then we see Reinhardt actually come up and say, like, I must stop you, and then you see Puck say that the death of Amelia is both the burden of Puck and Subaru, and that Puck now has to destroy the world. And we see, this is crazy to me, because we know that Puck in like the Beast of the End form is exceptionally fucking powerful. And the fact that we see Reinhardt, when he goes into his mode, he actually just completely obliterates Puck, is kind of crazy. So after that, we see that Subaru actually also lives some of his like classic deaths from season 1. We see that that time that Rem thought it was a brilliant idea just to kill him for kind of no reason, and we also got to see when he tossed himself on the rock, and we kind of get to see that Beatrice, like, I am that person, like, I thought you were that person moment. After that, Subaru's basically mind broken to some extent, not fully, but he sees Rim come to him. And this is kind of interesting. We see that, quote unquote, Rim is coming to him to ensure that everything's okay. And we kind of find out that it's and she goes in to kiss him, but it's not really Rim, it's Carmilla, which is the Witch of Lust. And interestingly enough, Carmilla says it's the person that you want to see, though. So for all the Rim ex-Subaru fans out there, take for that what you will, but I thought that was an interesting... I don't view it in a way that Subaru views her emotionally, but Rim is the person who, every time Subaru is in a low place, Rim is that person who always tries to get him to be stronger and better. And Rim is the person that Subaru can confide in without judgment, and she will always help him. And that's why he knew that Carmilla wasn't Rim, is because that she's like, oh, don't worry, it'll just get better. But she doesn't really ever prop him up. So after that, he knows that this is part of Echidna's doing, no surprise. And he goes to talk to Echidna, and she offers him a contract. And part of that contract is that she will help him when he returns to death. Like, she will give him advice, and she will help him ensure that he gets the future that he wants. So, she also brings up that part of the trial is that whenever Subaru returns from death, like, I think what I was trying to say is Satella kind of knows about all these futures and events. Seeing as how returning from death is her power, that she kind of knows, like, every time that Subaru kind of does this to himself. That's kind of what I got from it. So we get to the important part. What does Echidna's deal entail? So we see Subaru naively is ready to trust Echidna. I guess I kind of understand why he's ready to do so initially, because I guess, like, she's kind of helped him up till now. Like, she's kind of been someone he can go to for strategy and advice. And he's getting ready to make this contract with Echidna. And you see all the other witches come out and basically say it's a terrible deal. It's a bad deal. You see that Minerva saying she's lying. She's only telling you part of it. And then you see all the other witches come out. Typhon, the new witch. We get another new witch that we've seen all of them at this point, is the Witch of Sloth. I think Sekhet, I think it is. Probably butcher the name. The Witch of Lust, not Lust. She's the Witch of Gluttony. Comes out, and I love her. She has to, like, sigh every time she, like, says a sentence. So I do like her. I thought she was pretty cool. And I kind of, Carmilla's kind of cool too. Seems like she has like hardcore anxiety, and she can't really talk to people. So basically Minerva and all the other witches come out and tell him, like, she's not really telling you the full part of the deal. And she isn't. So it turns out, and then we kind of see Echidna, you kind of see her for what she is, which is a monster. I've always loved Echidna. Like, she's definitely, like, one of the best girls, but at the same time, like, I've always known that she wasn't good. I don't think any of the witches are good. I think all of them have, like, a deep flaw within them that makes them evil to some extent. I could be wrong. Minerva seems kind of fine, but we don't really know that much about her so far. Like, but you see it with kind of Typhon and Delphine, that they're sickening to some extent. So, anyway, so part of Echidna's deal is that she gets to basically, it's like, it came off to me as like an exchange for basically his soul. It's like she wants all of his experiences, emotions. Subaru can do anything with her. Take that for what you will. And that she basically gets to feed off him, is how I kind of interpreted it. Like, she kind of feeds off his emotions. Like, every time he dies, everything he experiences, like, becomes a part of her. And she also mentioned that, like, she would share his ability to return from death to some extent. And you kind of see her get to go crazy when it does its 360 view around her, to where she's just like, it's like this, her plan of what she wants. And then you kind of see her evil face. And then you see Subaru asking, like, do you know Beatrice? And what have you done to her? You kind of abandoned her. And you see in Echidna's answer where what she's done to Beatrice, to where she's kind of abandoned her and never gave her instructions to do anything. She doesn't really care. she thinks it's wonderful. Like, how I interpret it, like, the person that Beatrice is waiting for is no one. Like, it's herself. I guess the way I interpret it, like, she's like, Beatrice can free herself from the contract, but Echidna never really gave her like instructions on that, and it was kind of messed up. So obviously Subaru doesn't like that answer, and he refuses to do the contract with Echidna. And we see Echidna gets pretty pissed at this. So this is where it gets crazy. So he refuses the contract with Echidna, and then Echidna suddenly hears the boss music, and she's like, "Oh no!" That you see a shadow like forming over the land, and you see Minerva saying, "Oh shit, she's coming." And you see Carmilla. It's like, I didn't have anything to do with any of this. And then you see all the other witches kind of reactions. You see in Kingda, it's like, oh no, like, I'm about to get like an ass whooping. And then you get to see Typhon say it's Tella. She always has like cute, funny nicknames for all the witches. But I hate Typhon. But and then we get to see we get to see Satella walking in from a distance. So I am very excited about next episode, because you have to think about it. The whole entire premise of this series revolves around Satella, because Satella is the one who has given Subaru the power to return from death. Like, without Satella, Subaru would have just died in that inside of Old Man Rom's shop. She is the one who has set everything in motion. She is the one who has a deep obsession over Subaru for some reason. And she is coming to talk with Subaru and the other witches. She's probably coming to rough up Echidna, considering Echidna tried to form a contract with Subaru. I can't imagine that Satella would be pretty happy about that. So I am extremely excited for next week's episode. I am very much, because I kind of wanted, like, when you get to see Satella show up in not last week's, but a couple weeks ago episode, I had wanted more than anything for Satella and Subaru to have a conversation, and it looks like we're going to get that next week. So I'm pretty excited about that, and I hope it doesn't hope it's not too much of a tease. Like, I hope we get to see a conversation at length to what Satella's motivations are. Like, why does she have an obsession with Subaru in the first place? And why has she given Subaru this power, and to what end? And I'm also pretty curious of what her reactions with the other witches will be. I imagine Echidna and Satella probably don't have a good relationship. Because if you see Echidna's face when Satella's showing up, she's visibly pissed. So I am very much looking forward to next week's episode. I think it's going to be a great kind of... I still think they're going to end it on a tease, just because the second half of season 2 is coming back in January, thankfully, so we don't have to wait like, what, 3 or 4 years? Nearly 5 from when no, I think it's like 4 from season 1 to 2. Yeah, it's like 4. So I'm pretty excited to see next week's episode, guys, and tell me what you think is going to happen in the comments below, and I will see you guys next time.